Hello, third graders. Welcome to lesson 3.12. We're going to take a look at this math message here. Mrs. Smith asked her class to solve 3 times 4 equals 12. And we have 3 students here. Carly wants to use 3 times 5 as a helper fact for 3 times 4. Paul wants to use 2 times 4 as a helper fact. And Ruth wants to use 3 times 10 as a helper fact. Who do you think is correct? And how do you know? So let's break that into 2 questions. Spend some time thinking about that. Who is using the correct helper fact? And why do you think that person is correct? All right, I'm going to make the case that there are 2 different students who are doing something that will work. Okay. Now, the one that I'm going to eliminate is Ruth. I think that Ruth is way off. If we're going to do 3 times 4, we're not going to need 3 times 10. One student that I think is doing the correct thing is Paul, right? So he's got 2 times 4. So, right, think about that array. He would have 2 groups of 4 like this. And then if he wanted a third group of 4, right, if he wanted to change this to 3, now he just needs to add another row. So one student that is doing something that will work is Paul. But I think that Carly is also doing something that will work. And if you picked Paul and didn't pick Carly, that's fine. But I want to show you what Carly's thinking. Carly is thinking, all right, 3 times 5. So 3 groups of 5, right? And 3 times 5 equals 15. And if Carly takes away one group, did that help her? It sure did, because now what she's left with is 3 times 4. So, what I'm going to be sharing with you today is a strategy that is a subtractor group. So, let's go over this one first, right? Adding a group is a strategy that we've talked about before, right? We talked about it last time, actually, where you can take a fact that you know, right, called a helper fact. So, right, 2 times 8 equals 16. You know that. You know all your twos. And then we can add a group, right? So if you know 2 times 8 is 16, 3 times 8 would be one extra group. So we can count that up, right? So 16 plus 8 more. 16 plus 8 is 24. So 3 times 8 has to be 24. But what we're going to talk about today is our new learning, and it is called subtract a group. Well, let's say I didn't know 9 times 6. Uh, I could use that helper fact of 10 times 6, which equals 60, and then take a group off. Okay, and that is actually going to be something that you're going to see in my model here in just a moment. So we're subtracting a group, taking it off. So let's review our words to know. What was a helper fact? What does that mean when I say helper fact? Right? A helper fact is a fact that we already know, right? It's a fact that we can use to help us find things that we don't know. We have covered our strategy adding a group. We will use helper facts and use a strategy called subtracting a group to practice multiplication today. And you'll see that in our objective, right? We're going to be able to determine product of 2 numbers using add a group strategy or subtract a group. We're going to have to be able to choose which would work better. There's our multiplication fact standard. All right, so I want you to imagine that I didn't know 9 times 6. This is a hard multiplication fact, right? This might be one that you're not sure about. So if I subtract a group here, well, that would be 8 times 6, and I don't know 8 times 6 either. So 9 is really close to 10, right? It's just one away. So if I use 10 times 6, I know 10 times 6, 10 times 6, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. Any of the groups of 10 are helpers, right? So I can use this to help me. Watch how fast I can draw an array of 10 times 6. Bloop. Wow, that was fast, wasn't it? So I have 10 across, right? And really, I would want to have it kind of like this. Ooh, I want to do that. Let's rotate it though. Because if I have 10 groups of 6, it would really look more like this. Right? Because I have 10 rows and each row has 6. So if I wanted to solve 9 times 6, what I need to do is to get rid of one of my groups of 6, right? Now I have 9 over here, and each one has 6. So 10 times 6 was 60. So I just got rid of 6 groups, right? Or 6 squares. I got rid of 6 squares. I had 60, I got rid of 6. So 59, 58, 57, 56, 55, 54. So 9 times 6 equals 54. See how that worked? Right? This is really useful for your nines and some of the fours also because 5 is close to 4. So let's do some practice here. Here we have 4 times 3. What would be a good helper fact for 4 times 3? All right. How about 5 times 3? No, if you said 4 times 2, that was a good one too. Well, 5 times 3. What does 5 times 3 equal? 5 times 3 equals 15, right? So I can draw my array. Probably should have turned it the other way, but that's okay. So if I had 4 groups of 3, right? So I'm going to need to get rid of one of my groups of 3. So 4 times 3, look at this now. 4 times 3 equals what? 4 times 3 equals 12. All right. Woo boy, look at this. 8 times 6. I will tell you that this is the multiplication fact that the most fourth graders don't know. So 8 times 6. What would be a good helper fact? I'll give you a hint. We're going to be adding a group here, not subtracting a group. What would be a good helper fact? 8 times 5. Okay, guys? Right? And when you're trying to figure out a group of a 6, usually a 5 will help you. So 8 times 5 is 40. I should have had you tell me that, right? So I don't want to draw 40 X's here because I don't want the video to be super long. But if you know that 8 times 5 is 40, then 8 times 6, we would add one more group of 8, right? So we would need to add 8 to this number. What's 40 plus 8? 8 times 6 equals 48, right? If you were counting by eights, 8 times 5 would be 40. 8 times 6 would be 48. All right, one more together here. 7 times 6. What would a good helper fact be? Okay, 7 times 5, right? I told you all the 6s can be very useful to use your 5s. What is 7 times 5? Okay, 35. So now to get 8 times 5, we need to add one more group of, oops, hang on, I don't want to get 8 times 5. We're trying to get 7 times 6, right? So we need another group of 7. If you have 35 and you have another group of 7, what would you have? You'd have 42. Okay, so use your helper facts. Here's your page in your math journal. It is page number 93. Okay, you are going to use a helper fact here to figure out what would happen if you subtract a group. Okay, you'll be subtracting. So you will draw your array here, right? This is not a super long array, right? And you only have to do one. I skipped a couple because I had to do three, but you only have to do one. So you will draw this array for 10 times four, right? 10 groups of four. You'll subtract a group, you'll explain what you did, and then you'll have a new number model and a sentence about how this helped you. This is your page today. If you have any questions, make sure to reach out and let me know. Today, we continued working on multiplication facts by subtracting a group, right? We're using helper facts to help us to learn the facts that we don't know. All right, third graders, that's all. I will see you next time. Good luck.